I can't believe I didn't come across this C.S. Lewis quote sooner. In all my years anticipating Narnia films and analyzing them to death and ripping them apart, liking some things, hating other things, I can't believe that this quote didn't come up at some point. I've been reading a lot of C.S. Lewis essays recently, and I was reading C.S. Lewis's 1947 essay On Stories, in which he talks about the time he went to see a movie that was an adaptation of a book that he liked. I was once taken to see a film version of King Solomon's Mines. Of its many sins, not the least the introduction of a totally irrelevant young woman in short to accompany the three adventurers wherever they went, only one here concerns us. At the end of Haggard's book, as everyone remembers, the heroes are awaiting death entombed in a rock chamber and surrounded by the mummified kings of that land. The maker of the film version, however, apparently thought this tame. He substituted a subterranean volcanic eruption and then went one better by adding an earthquake. Perhaps we should not blame him. Perhaps the scene in the original was not cinematic, and the man was right, by the canons of his own art, in altering it. But it would have been better not to have chosen in the first place a story which could be adapted to the screen only by being ruined. Love that last part so much. So, of course, what he's getting at there is, okay, Lewis is conceding, there are some things in books that won't work in movies. Lewis gets it, and he can understand the idea of why the filmmaker would just is perfectly fine. He's justified in just trying to make the best movie he can. Lewis gets it. But he's also saying, but why are you trying to adapt this story in the first place if what makes it such a great book is inherently uncinematic? I wonder if Lewis is basically saying, wouldn't it be better just to either go write an original screenplay or find another book that is more cinematic? But it kind of got me thinking about, why are books generally adapted into movies in the first place? What's the reason? And generally I'm talking about big Hollywood level kind of big budget blockbusters. And it's basically, it comes down to two different types. There is genuine inspiration, and then there's the much more common, which is a straight-up cash-in. Lord of the Rings is an example of genuine inspiration, in my opinion. Peter Jackson got the idea to make Lord of the Rings in 1993, long before Harry Potter book was, I think, even written. And there was no reason to believe that fantasy would be instant success. But he was reading Lord of the Rings and went, this could be the basis of a good movie. I could see where this could be a cool movie people would want to go see, and that was the initial reason he wanted to make it. Movies are a business. They're not going to get made if they don't think they're going to make money. I get it. But most good movies, I would say, begin with a creative moment, a creative spark of someone kind of maybe to sit up in bed and go, what would be a cool idea for a movie? What if you did this? Yeah, no one's ever done that before. I bet people would want to go see that. Let's make it. So the reason they're excited is because people would want to go see this and we'll make money. But the initial idea is creative. The initial idea is, hey, that'd be cool. Let's try that. If you're just trying to, so that's genuine inspiration. The other kind, a straight up cash-in, is when, the decision to make the movie, you're just trying to take advantage of the title. The title is popular. It's well known. If you make a movie with that title, people will probably go see it. Now that's, think about it. People who make the decisions to make movies, to really sign the dotted line and green light a movie, they're probably not in that position because they're a creative person. They probably got there because they know about business, and all business knows how to do is, this thing is successful. Okay, the market wants that. We should make more things like that. That's all they know how to do. And that's not how good movies work, at least. That's not a good way to predict what's going to be a good movie. It might be a decent predictor of what's going to be a successful movie, but that's another issue. So that's an example of just cashing in on something where really you just want the title and that's it. This got me thinking about, I posted a thread about this on narniaweb.com, and someone brought up the Screwtape Letters, which is another very well-known book by C.S. Lewis, as an example of something that is obviously inherently uncinematic. I don't think anybody would argue against that, but there have, in fact, been attempts to make that movie over the past several years. Ralph Winter was going to produce it for a while. It looked like it was actually going to happen for a while. And which leaves a lot of people scratching their heads. Like, why on earth would you try to make a movie out of the Screwtape Letters? If you don't know, the Screwtape Letters is supposed to be a series of letters from this retired demon tempter named Screwtape, and he's writing to his nephew Wormwood. Literally, every letter begins with Dear Wormwood, and it's signed Your Affectionate Uncle Screwtape. It's literally a bunch of letters. It's intercepted correspondence between these two demons. It makes everything backwards. We're looking at everything from the completely opposite perspective, and it makes a lot of ideas seem fresh. Or having to you have to kind of keep it in the back of your head when you're reading the book, that when Screwtape says, oh yes, this would be very good, you have to go, okay, he's a demon. If he's saying something would be very good, that probably means it would actually be very bad. And the opposite, if he says, oh, that's going to be terrible, don't let that happen, that probably means that it would actually be a very good thing. And he refers to God as the enemy. So you have to kind of constantly keep in mind that what I'm reading is from Screwtape's perspective. So there isn't really a story to speak of or anything. It's just kind of Screwtape's opinions on the best way to trap a human. How do you make that into a movie? The Screwtape Skype conversations, like what could you do with it? And even if you did that, it's still like, that would be boring. That wouldn't be cinematic. That wouldn't be a movie. And there's just not a story. Yeah, initially I agreed with the person that posted that on Narnia Web that, yeah, that's a good example of something that is clearly shouldn't be a movie, but they're just trying to force it out because they want to cash in on the name. But I got to thinking about it, and I think there is a way you could make Screwtape Letters into a movie. If you're looking for a good idea of something that will be a genuinely just a good movie, I think there's a way you could do it. If you're just trying to cash in on the name, this won't work. Basically, imagine, never mind trying to find a visual equivalent of this. Get rid of that, What if you just take the basic idea? What if you just say, hey, the idea of a young demon tempter who's just getting started in the field of temptation and he really wants to prove himself. That seems like it could be a good movie, I think. I think there's probably a story in there. And the idea of your protagonist being a demon tempter who really wants to destroy this person, wants to lead them to hell, and is completely wants to destroy humanity. If that's your protagonist, to me, that's interesting. Come on, more difficult things have been done before with. There's certainly plenty of movies that take characters that really are terrible people, but you actually kind of relate to them. Some of Quentin Tarantino's films come to mind. And I think it wouldn't really be the book at all. It wouldn't be what the book is, which is this feeling that I'm reading something that is not meant for me. And the whole letter concept would have to completely go out the window. I don't think you could keep the title, The Screwtape Letters. I'm not even sure you could keep Screwtape in the movie. To me, that sounds like the basis for what could be a very interesting movie I've never really seen before. But it wouldn't really be the Screwtape Letters. I mean, if I wrote that screenplay, if I found a real screenwriter, had that like David McGee, and had them write the screenplay, and let's say it turned out, oh, this looks really good, and a lot of people read it, oh, this could be a good story, show it to the people who are trying to make the Screwtape Letters movie, and they'd probably say, oh, this is good, but the problem is it's not the Screwtape Letters. We can't call this movie the Screwtape Letters, and it doesn't have enough in common with the book to justify it, so we have to change it to make it more like the book. That is inherently uncinematic. They'd probably ruin it, but they would at least be able to call it the Screwtape Letters. So it just all goes back to what would their motivations actually be. Anyway, rambling here, but all this to say, it really matters the reason why a movie is made in the first place. Is it just made because someone really did get an idea for how to make a cool movie? Or was it some rich Hollywood exec that signed a document saying, someone go make that movie because a movie of that title will make money? The Silver Chair. Now, that doesn't mean it's does not mean it's a death sentence. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that's why it was made. It was not genuine inspiration by all appearances. It was just, Lord of the Rings is popular. Let's make something kind of similar to that. Which also led to some bad creative decisions as well, and it made they were trying to make Narnia more like Lord of the Rings to varying degrees of success. But anyway, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe still turned out to be a pretty good movie. Not great, but pretty good. So it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. So, but in that sense, I would say that the Silver Chair is off to a bad start, or it's a disadvantaged start in that I highly doubt David McGee sat up in bed one day and went, oh my gosh, the Silver Chair. This could be a great movie. I have all these ideas. Wow, I hope the C.S. Lewis estate is interested in making this movie. Oh my gosh, John Treader just came out a few years ago. They're trying to make the Silver Chair now. What a coincidence. This is perfect. No, they came to David McGee and said, hey, we want to make this book into a movie. Could you put it into a form that is shootable? David McGee is a great screenwriter. It could still be good. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough. Love to hear your thoughts on reasons a movie should be made. We'll see about the Silver Chair. All speculation right now. We'll see how it turns out.